Hey, welcome back. We are on week 27. That's right, 27. I'm just going to move this a little. And this week, the fable of the week is the fable of grass. And that is true. It is the fable of grass. The card itself is named growth. And just to get into when this came forward, this was almost 30 years ago now. I just want to share with you that because when you put it in context, that it was, I want to say late 80s, so 30 years ago, that these angels came forward and told me these fables. And so when you look at the fable of grass 30 years ago, you can get a perspective that the quote from the fable is, "Your message is best expressed when you are uniquely you." And what's fascinating about this is how timely it is today, where grass in the fable, he comes out to his friends, and it is one of, I think, 2 or 3 fables where the protagonist is gay. And I think that when we look at grass and we look at the idea of growth, it really comes forward of like, what are you in your heart willing to be a stand for? And I think that becomes very important. And really when we move into this next card, right, because we're in the 4th card, how interesting is this? 4th card in the 4th chakra. Think about that for a moment. 4th card, 4th chakra, heart, heart. So this is a double heart card. In other words, it really is moving through that lens of the 4th chakra. So when I talk about that, I want to make it clear that imagine like a stained glass window, right? And so each pane of glass is a chakra color of the Western chakra: red, orange, yellow, green. So I want you to imagine that green lens is that this card is coming through. The prior one might have been yellow coming through for the green card. The reason that becomes important for us is because in this card, it really is a powerful stand for your heart, for being who you are. Now, in this case, and I think this is what's great about it in some ways, what I really enjoy, is that it's a universal idea of being yourself, of whether you're an artist or you are gay or you are something outside of the norm in what society at that time considered normal and still does. So it really is about, in some ways, being an outsider and really claiming your space on the inside. And so I really want to put that out in terms of what's going on currently with this fable and what's going on in the world, in the sense that, you know, the idea, and I think you probably have heard me say that I think diversity is like, are you kidding? I think it's about inclusion. And I think for me, when something stands the test of time, it really has a bigger theme to it. And I do believe that this fable has the theme of inclusion no matter what. And in this fable, grass ultimately, the character of grass, he ultimately stands up for himself because he's got to. He actually stands up for himself and he says, I am going to take stand for this. I am willing. He chose his battle because that was an important battle that opened the door for others behind him. And so really, when you look at that this week, I want you to really look at, when you stand for something, I want you to get and really be able to differentiate between, am I just angry and I'm going to fight somebody? Or is it that I'm angry, but I'm more in the place of taking an honest stand for the higher good? And I think that's what we're really talking about. It's not just to take a cause. It's like, what kind of change can I make? What kind of growth can we experience through this? See, if it's just going to be me getting pissed off and just kind of like arguing with people, well, then you and I both know it's kind of like, well, that's just me like fighting with some person on the phone who has no power over whether or not, you know, my credit card is charged incorrectly, you know. And I think that's kind of the idea of, this is really when you take a stand for a higher purpose, the stand you take defines you. And I want to say that that are you taking a stand that defines you, or are you taking a stand that weakens you? And that becomes, through the heart, the question we are asking all the time. So really the message of the week becomes, it's exactly what I just said. Grass is about having the courage necessary to be a stand for who you are. Now you will notice in the fable that he is congruent in coming out to his friends and saying, I'm gay. And he's also congruent in, I'm not going to fight that battle, but I will be a stand for this battle. And I think it goes to the idea of pushing our will on other people. Like, I remember, and I think we've all done this perhaps, the idea that I didn't want my mom to smoke, so I threw out her cigarettes. I didn't want her to drink, so I threw out her alcohol. And that has progressed in our society to, if you don't recycle, you're a bad person. And I think that it's come to such an extreme. And I think if we bring it back to what can I do? And so this week is really about what in my heart can I do to further the human condition, my own and others? What is it that I'm going to be a stand for this week? So as you look at this fable and you go through the different exercises in the book, I really encourage you to get that we've grown together in these 26, 27 weeks now, and that when we look back at where we've been, you're going to notice even in the way I'm delivering this material to you has deepened. Because at the beginning, it's kind of like, I'm still kind of going, oh, well, it's this kind of sort of, and as I get more and more and more into the knowing that I now have that foundation of my first chakra, the foundation of my second chakra, the foundation of my third chakra, it begins to really give me that platform to speak to you from my heart in a way that I didn't have the skill set earlier. And by the way, I wrote this. So, I mean, it came through me anyway. And I think it's kind of like the idea of every time I do it, I learn. So even in this conversation with you, if you listen to another conversation I had about the growth card or the fable of grass, you might hear other things, because I'm not going to say the same thing each time, because I'm not the same in a moment that will happen 5 minutes from now than I am in this one. And that's why I often say, this moment will never happen again. So our moment together here will be completely different in 20 minutes, in an hour. And when you listen to it in a week or 2 weeks or 3 years from now, you're going to hear something completely different in my telling of this. So we evolve whether or not we like it. And that's something very important. Whether or not we appreciate it, we have to go with that. So a couple things I want to say here. There's a tenacity and courage in standing up for yourself. And I think that's a real part of this fable. So a couple things I want to say. Again, this week, I'm going to encourage you to look at setting the intention of choices made by others. And how would your life shift if you can honor choices that other people made that you didn't agree with? What would that look like for you? And again, I encourage you to do all of the exercises here. And I'd like to hear from you in the comments below, how would your life change if, in fact, your opinion of them changed based on, and again, going back to this week, set an intention to honor the choices made by others, even your own family. What would that look like if you could honor someone else's choices that were different than your own? Go ahead and comment below. I'd love to hear it. Remember, I'm really only reading the comments that are on YouTube. So if you're watching this on another platform, come on over to YouTube and you will hear me comment on your comment. So I hope you're having a very blessed day, everyone. And I look forward to seeing you next week. Bye for now.